Are you holding off on a move because you're waiting for the market to show you a clearer path? February did give us some strong signals that most headlines are not suggesting. Hey there, it's Andy Schildhorn with Schildhorn Realty Group at Macdonald Realty. For over 30 years in Langley and across the Fraser Valley, I've watched markets shift through strong cycles and through quiet ones. This February is one of those moments where the numbers tell us a very clear story rather than the headlines. I see three things right now that really matter: how active the market really is, what's happening with pricing, where that puts us heading into our spring market. Let's start with sales activity. The Fraser Valley recorded 843 sales in February. That's noticeably higher than January, up 36%. Sounds strong? No. Sales remain 38% below the 10-year seasonal average. This is a seasonal lift, not a return to aggressive demand. Inventory sits at 8,344 active listings. That's 51% above the 10-year seasonal norm. The sales to active listing ratio, it's at 10%. Balanced territory typically sits between 12 and 20%. This still remains very much so a buyer's market. That ratio did improve from January. Good stuff. Activity is starting to outpace new supply. But we're not in a seller's market. Also, though, we are not moving backwards. Now let's translate all that into real life here in Langley. In Willoughby, townhomes that are priced correctly are seeing steady traffic. Buyers are comparing units carefully. They're reviewing strata documentation in detail. They're negotiating repairs and conditions. In Brookswood and parts of Langley, detached homes are moving when pricing aligns closely with recent comparable sales. When sellers push pricing 5 to 10% above where buyers see value, showings, they'll slow down, they'll stop. This is what we might call a rational market. Now let's just talk a little bit about pricing. The composite benchmark price across the Fraser Valley is sitting at $895,100. Month over month, pricing has barely moved. The pace of decline has clearly slowed. Year over year, prices are down roughly 7 to 9%, depending on the property type. Detached homes are at $1,370,900 with an average of 47 days on market. Townhomes are at $770,700 with an average of 39 days on market. Condos are at $488,300 with an average of 45 days on market. Days on market tells you a little bit more than the headlines. 40 to 50 days, it's not panic selling. It is thoughtful decision making. Over 3 decades in Langley real estate, I've seen true demand-driven corrections. Listings spike, showings fall rapidly, sellers chase the market down month after month. This is not what this feels like right now. What we're seeing is adjustment. We're seeing stabilization. Buyers are cautious. Sellers, however, are adapting. Now let's separate seasonal change from structural shift. Every spring, activity increases. Families plan moves before summer. Listings move up a bit. Sales move up a bit. A structural shift, though, happens when demand consistently tightens inventory and pushes that sales to active listing ratio back towards balanced territory. We're not there yet. Right now, this is a market that rewards preparation. For buyers, leverage exists. Inspection clauses are back. Financing subjects are common. You can compare Walnut Grove homes to Murrayville without feeling rushed. For sellers, precision absolutely matters. Pricing within 2 to 3% of recent comparable sales dramatically increases traction. Overpricing by 5 to 10% can double your days on market. I recently worked with an upsizing family in Langley who assumed that they would need to sell first and then compete aggressively to purchase. Higher inventory allowed us to secure their next home before listing their current home. That flexibility did not exist in tighter markets. On the downsizing side, I've seen homeowners in Fort Langley hesitate because of economic headlines. But when we sat down and reviewed actual sales to list price ratios and days on market, the data showed stability rather than collapse. That allowed for them to plan calmly instead of reacting emotionally. This is why interpretation matters more than headlines. Now let's talk about direction. If inventory begins to decline while sales continue to climb, pressure will build. If inventory remains elevated and sales remain moderate, this thoughtful buyer's market will continue. Langley home prices right now are stable, but they're sensitive. Negotiation is part of the process again. The Fraser Valley real estate market, it's not frozen, it's selective, and it rewards preparation. If you want the full statistical breakdown, there's a link in the description below with the complete report. Where do you see the market heading next? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think of where we're going. If you find these updates helpful, subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss the next update or community update. If you want to talk through your own situation, there's a booking link in the description. Pick a time that works best for you. We can grab a coffee and walk through your real estate plans at a pace that makes sense to you. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to stay informed. Thanks for dropping by. Have a great day, and I look forward to getting together soon.